everybody, it's Kenny K here again, and I wanted to discuss a movie that gets a 6.3 on IMDb, and it gets a 6.5 from me. Why? Because I watched this movie about 5 times now already. It's called Wolfen from 1981. It's got Albert Finney, Diane Verona, Albert Finney as Captain Dewey Wilson of the police department, Diane Verona as Rebecca Nell. I think she's from the police department, but I think she's a psychiatrist who works for the police department, but she has a gun. So Edward James Olmos is in this as Eddie Holt, a Native American, and Gregory Hines. And this one is he's Whittington. He's the coroner. He's super funny. He's this guy with this big afro. He's fun, but at the same time, he's serious. Like there's this moment when let's say, I'm just gonna say the movie starts with a couple and a bodyguard getting killed. Wealthy people. The Vandeveers. Now, these are basically the scum of the earth. These are people who take poor countries, tear people out of their houses, and put resorts on it, and have the political power and money to let the president send the army to get them out. But of course, there are multi-guerrilla fights now going on in the world because of Vanderveer, and there are a lot of terrorists who want to kill Vanderveer. Hippies terrorists, American terrorists. So that's the reason why he has this big ass bodyguard, this black big ass bodyguard with him. And he decides to stop at something that he built, something out of glass and that goes around. And they're fooling around, they're doing stupid things. She's snorting coke. The first guy to croak is the bodyguard. You see these things coming from all directions, under him, besides him, behind him, and then he sees something and he takes his gun out, and before he takes his gun out, something basically snatches off his hand, and you see the hand fall on the ground, and it says click, and then you see something flying against the bodyguard, and he's dead. The other ones didn't see that, they didn't hear that, they heard something, and they start to look, and Vanderveer gets basically attacked. He gets again also rushed against a tree, and blood squirts out of his mouth, and his brains fly out of his fucking head. And the Mrs. Vanderveer gets killed in a kind of same way that her head is almost, you don't see that, but it's explained in a very radical way by Willington. When they find the bodies, she's basically, her head is almost decapitated, and it's hanging on with a little piece of skin. Now Finney is called in to come and do the job, because his boss, the commissioner, he's the captain, but he's higher up, he's a commissioner. He says, come and go look for this. Now, Albert Finney is a great actor. He reminds me of Clint Eastwood with a little bit of Robert De Niro in there, or an Al Pacino as a cop. He's like, yeah, with a cigar in his mouth, and he's like, I don't give a shit. He has a I don't give a fuck attitude, but at the same time, he's an excellent cop. He knows what to do. He knows who to speak with. He has that. You know what I mean? That roughness of a Clint Eastwood as a cop, or a Robert De Niro as a cop, or an Al Pacino as a cop. These were rough cops too, and he has that too a little bit, and I like that. I like that. He's Captain Dewey Wilson. He's there then at the crime scene, and then Whittington. That was one of my favorite characters. He's just so funny, but at the same time serious. He's saying this one, the Lady Vanderveer. So what happened was they killed the bodyguard first. We had got his hand in the back here. He's got a ring of voodoo. Voodoo, is that maybe a connection? I don't know, he says, because Mr. Vanderveer lost his brains, and Mrs. Vanderveer, her head is almost hanging loose from her body. Now, I don't know who could have done this, because then in the lab he says, because while he's doing it, he's eating a donut and things like that. In the lab, he says, it isn't done with a knife. It is done with some, maybe, and not with hands too. He says if it was done with a knife, there would be, even if it's the cleanest knife, there would be particles that they can see. And he's holding that knife in his mouth, and then like that, use it as a toothpick, and you don't see it. And he's funny. And then for some reason, the one character I didn't like was Diane Verona, who plays Rebecca Nelf. She is teamed up with Dewey for some reason, and I think it's the sole purpose to get them to fuck with each other, so they have a crush, they drink together, he's flirting with her, she's flirting with him, and at some point they fuck. That's the story. She does the interrogations in this weird interrogation room that was built by the Vanderveers and their security, and they gave it to the police to do their interrogations. But this room is one entire line chamber, so they see the heat of the person, the heartbeat of the person, voice. Voice, like when a voice starts to talk different, like when you're scared or nervous or something like that. So it's basically one giant lie detector where they're sitting in. And she's doing these interviews with these terrorists, and that's it. And she's then doing these flirty after when the day's done. She's doing these flirty talks with Dewey, and that's it. That's what she's there for. I didn't like her. Another guy that I did like was Indian, the Native American Eddie Holt, Edward James Olmos. He's like this guy who went to jail multiple times, and he's doing these weird things where they're standing on the top of the bridge, and apparently they are the only ones who want to work there because it's a dangerous job, okay? And but they're doing weird things like turning this rope around with a stone on, and some guy is giving a pigeon food with his mouth, and then they're basically communicating with animals like the Native Americans could have done or something. Animals for Native Americans were, very important, especially the wolves. And he wants some explanation, and he says, "Oh, you think wolves did it? I don't know." So Dewey goes up there and he says, "It's all in your mind, Dewey. It's all in your mind." And then he takes off the clip of his belt that's connected with the wire to keep him attached. "Let's be an eagle together. Let's just fly, and we become an eagle." And he's like, "No, fuck that. Give me that back." Yes. So then he goes back. Now, at some point, he sees Edward James Olmos in this small beach, and he's taking all his clothes off. He's completely nude, dick and balls, everything, and he acts like a wolf. He's drinking from a puddle of water. He puts teeth in his mouth, and he's doing this, and then acting like. And then when he sees Dewey sees this. He's trying to get away, and he's trying to follow him, and he's like confronting him constantly. He's drooling, and Dewey wants to take his gun out. And then he takes Edward James Eddie Holt takes his teeth out, and he says, "You see, it's all in your mind. It's shape shifting. We do it for fun." It's so basically what they are doing is a form of shape shifting, and they do this for fun. They sometimes become birds, they sometimes become wolves, and etc., etc., etc. So now, at this moment, these wolfen have killed a vagrant or two, a junkie or two, and they find the bodies in the buildings they destroyed, with dynamite brought down, and they find the bodies in there. Now, why were they killed? Well, the wolfen basically believe that area is their ground. Now, to make a long story short, there's also a professor called Fergie, or Professor Ferguson. He's also really funny. With Whittington, he's a comedic duo. I would have liked to see him, Whittington, and Captain Dewey more together, and not Rebecca Nelf and that commissioner. No, he's a guy who knows animals. He knows everything about the killings of the wolves back in the day with the helicopters, and they're shooting wolves, and they're posing with the wolves, those fucking assholes. And there is this moment when he hears something, and for some reason he calls the fire department, and he calls himself, "I'm Jack Wolf." He takes his motorcycle, goes under a bridge, and he hears the fire, if the fire trucks passing by, and the sirens, and through the sirens he hears the wolves doing like this. But when everything is silent, they're doing this like this. So he knows, oh shit, this wasn't a good idea. So he gets the fuck out of Dodge, but a wolf jumps at him and he flies off his motorcycle. Now, this is the only thing that I can't explain. So, listen, Vanderveer is killed. So spoilers, okay? This movie is great. It's a wolfen are sort of. These are not werewolves. These are regular wolves. Now, at some point in a bar, and where all Native Americans come, they explain that these wolfen are spirits, but these are spirits of wolves that survived the great attacks, the great deaths, when everybody, there were great hunts, when everybody hunted them, and they went underground in our city, in New York, and when they came out in the Bronx, where all the houses were just decrepit, and cathedrals and shit like that, and houses, they started to live there and feed from the junkies, the bums, the people who will not be missed. Okay, and then of course Dewey says a line to them that's murder. Oh, is that murder? And he says they get killed hundreds by the day, but one man get killed, and now everybody is high in the sky. So it's and the wolves were hunted down. So in their eyes, they're the savages. And there's this thing. So what happens? Now the spoilers are coming. So Dewey and Whittington are going with an M16 and a big ass what is called night scope, green night scope. It's not like a visor in the middle. It's just a big ass night scope. So if you see a wolf and you should shoot it, you would shoot like this, and you probably wouldn't hit him. It doesn't have a visor, just to see in the dark. So yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid idea. So he and Whittington, they go to the fucking place where the wolves are, and it's so stupid. It's so dangerous and stupid, and they should have, that's why I said the perfect trifecta with Ferguson. If he was there, he could have helped. He could have been a lookout. More people. No, you've got Wellington, who's a coroner, with an M16, and he can't handle it. And then you've got Dewey, who can handle an M16, but he goes on his own at some point, and he thinks they're here now. I'm gonna look for them, and he asks for Wellington, where are you? And he says, third floor on the right. And then you see this, the moon in New York, and his bare ass. So he's a funny guy, but he's in this cathedral where every step can be your last step. You can break your leg, somebody can fall on your fucking face and crush it. You can break your leg, your neck. It's dangerous. It's fucking dangerous. And he's eating fucking chips, and the wolves are up there looking at him, and he's seeing them, and he can't get a shot off, and he gets killed. we see Dewey seeing one of these wolves dragging the body of him, of Whittington with them, and he shoots with his M16. It's not an automatic. It's like a one shooter. It's set on one shot. He misses them completely. He goes to Whittington. He cries out like pain and anguish, because that's after. And then after that, he goes to the like I said, the bar with all the Indians, and they explain what wolfen is, and that you can't kill a wolfen, and that they are here to protect their lands now, and in their world, it's a perfect world. And then you got Edward James almost saying they got a perfect fucking world. They don't need you fucking people, and not fucking detectives like you. He's really, his speech is like, so fuck you fucking piece of fucking shit. It's great. It's great. Eventually, he goes to the Vanderveer building, to the penthouse. Then at some point, the commissioner drops a wolf pelt on him, and Rebecca is there, and he says, we got him. We got the terrorists who killed the Vanderveers. Because one terrorist said we wanted to kill them, but they didn't do it, of course. The wolves did it. Now, they get the hell out of there, and at some point, they're surrounded by wolves, and the commissioner's like, what the fuck? He wants to get his gun out, and Dewey says, don't. He doesn't listen. He goes, and this is one of the most gruesome kills. He gets his hand chopped off. You see his blood squirting in Rebecca's face. He gets up, goes in the car. You see his stump of his hand. So you see the gore. Then he tries to get reinforcements. Then the wolf's in the back of his car. He gets the hell out, and then you see a wolf biting his head off, and you see it tearing off. So you see a lot of gore in this movie. The commissioner's death is very gory. So they go back up in the penthouse. The wolves are suddenly in the penthouse. That's why I'm saying these wolves can go from there to there in this time. So Rebecca and Dewey have their guns out, and for some reason at this point, because the wolf sees at Dewey, and he has his eyes like this, his gun like this, and the wolf hears the chopper sounds of the hunters that killed him, and then he does like this, and he lays down his gun, and he destroys there's this big ass model that they were building underground, and he destroys it, and they are happy now, and they're gone. Now this movie has a lot of shit going on. So, okay, the model's destroyed, but do you think they're not gonna? It's just a model. It's just there for shits and giggles. They're gonna build that building. If the wolves want it or not, they're gonna do it. And if there are a few people dying in the process, they're gonna do it. They're gonna cover it up. They're gonna do it. And some other douche will take Vanderveer's place, and they're gonna do it. So destroying the piece of evidence, the piece of the maquette, destroying that doesn't mean jack shit. For the wolves, it means, oh, this guy is against it. Okay, yeah, but is just, you know, it's like destroying a puppet. But if they want to put a giant big puppet in the streets, they're gonna do that. Anywho, you know, shit is done. They signed it off. They're gonna build this shitty building. And also, so they kill everybody for a reason. So they kill these junkies and these addicts and vagrants because one, they're at their hunting grounds, and two, they need to eat. Although they're spirits, they do need, because at at the end you see them all running together, like they're not, you know, get they're not disappearing, and you know they're all running together to the Bronx, to the place that nobody lives there anymore. And so killing those vagrants, okay. So these wolfen, how they're called, apparently need to feed. They're not, so they're spirits, but spirits, that's it's so hard to explain, because did the Indian explain what they are, that they are real, but they are a spirit. They became more than a wolf. They became a wolfen, which is a spirit of a wolf. Okay, that's the only negative I have. It's okay. Killing okay, they need food. Okay, they need food. Killing the vagrants, then killing the vampires. That was an execution because they knew who he was. They wanted to kill him. Okay. Killing the commissioner. That's a no-brainer. He attacked them. They knew he was a bad guy. For some reason, they were stalking Diane, Rebecca, even when she's screwing Dewey. But they didn't went for the kill. They were just stalking her. And then Whittington, of course, killing him. They were on his territory and he had a gun. So that's obvious. Now the only not obvious kill of the entire movie is Ferguson, Professor Fergie Ferguson. You know, he loved animals. He was an animal. He loved wolves. He wanted to connect with these wolves. That's why he did something with the fire department, and that maybe the sounds. For some reason, he knew they were there, and he used the fire department and the sirens to sort of jack them up and start to howl. But then when the sirens stop, they start to growl and they want to kill him. Now that's something I don't understand, because he wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't on their territory. The only thing I can think of is that he looked them up, and they don't like to be seen or played with. So I'm guessing he got killed because his curiosity killed the cat. You know what I mean? He was too curious, and that became his death. Apparently, I think that's the only reason you can explain why they killed him. It's a good movie. Everybody acts great. The only one that doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't act great is the actress Diane Verona, Rebecca Nelf. She's there just to be a fuck doll for Dewey. You see her interrogating a little bit, interrogate in the special interrogation room. There's not a lot she does. Wellington, he's the guy. He's one of the main guys. Ferguson comes in the group later on. These are the trifecta that are trying to do something. And it's a shame Wellington died because I like the character. He's funny, but he was serious at the same time. And if Dewey was in trouble, he would just get the hell. He wouldn't run away or something. He would get to Dewey and help Dewey. That's the kind of guy he was. And Eddie Holt, I liked him because he had this rage in him, but like fucking piece of shit cops don't understand what wolfen is. Wolfen is what lives in the cities. Their hunting grounds. They're gonna kill and kill because they need to kill, and it's their right to kill. Those and you don't need fucking detectives like you would, Dewey. He's really on the screen. He really takes the screen time. He really takes the scene. It's a great, especially when he's shape shifting and he's in the nude. He's drinking from the water, and he's like, oh, it's a weird scene. It's a weird scene, but he does a great job. So I can only recommend this movie enough. It gets a 6.5 from me. It's what I love is detective. What I like is mysteries, horror stories, like where there's a little bit of detective work in it, like the Halloween, for example. When Michael Myers is not just a killer who kills and he dies at the end and it's done. Okay, he has a little backstory and then it's done. No, he has a lot more backstory going on for him. Remember Dr. Loomis, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and then of course I shot him 6 times. He's not human. I shot him 6 times. I mean, there's a lot more to explain. Michael Myers, he was at some point, he has multiple timelines. He has the cult member, the brother sister angle. There's a lot more to this character. Also with Jason, when what was the name in the movie? I just saw it again. Nellie or Peggy, Amy Steele. She basically says that Jason probably saw the entire thing, and he's a mongoloid boy who doesn't know how to care for himself. He must have been roaming these woods for a long time now and eating from what he could find. Isn't it sad? And she's completely giving him a more human side. Of course, that human side goes away when zombie Jason comes in the picture, or the copycat Jason in the New Beginning, but you know what I mean? And then Freddy Krueger until part 1, 2, and 3. In part 3, they explain that there's more explanation. Apparently, he can do crazy shit in dreams, but apparently people can do crazy shit in dreams too. They can become dream warriors. a strong man or something, and you know what I mean. And that's what I like. So that exploration, that detective, that investigation. Scream has a little bit of that. Who done it? Why did the killer did this? And how the further the Scream movies go, the more you gotta guess why is the killer killing now, because every killer has a link to the first killers. So mostly, so that's what I like on these Scream movies, and on these horror movies, Halloween, Friday 13th. And this movie has that too, and I like that detective story, that horror detective story. So watch it, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.